All right, we're on.
Good morning. Welcome to Crew Inland Empire Coffee Break. We are really happy to have everyone here today. We hope you're all happy and healthy and safe at home and not killing each other yet. So save that for later as the months go by. But we're grateful today to have a wonderful friend of mine and a great colleague in our industry, Frecia Johnson, with us. So I'll give you a little background on Frecia, and I can tell you what an incredible, amazing lady. She's very inspirational. She's been a great mentor to me and friend, and I'm very happy to introduce her today and have her here with us. So those of you who don't know Frecia, she's president of Johnson Commercial Real Estate in the High Desert. She is also president of NFJ Development Company in the High Desert. She's been in the commercial real estate industry, selling commercial real estate since 1975. She's seen a thing or two. She's been through a few recessions. She's going to help us navigate some of that today with some questions and answers. She holds a master's degree and a PhD. She lived in Kazakhstan for 3 years. She worked there as an international real estate consultant for investors and developers. She also worked as a consultant to the government on the tax policy committee in Kazakhstan. She was the founding president of the Kazakhstan Chamber of Commerce. She's been around the world a time or two. She's seen a few things. She's done some incredible things in her career in commercial real estate. She sold a $500 million portfolio of non-performing loans. So let me say that one more time. $500 million of non-performing loans. She sold that portfolio when she was at Pacific Southwest region. I'm sorry, you were at management, or is it Resolution Trust Company? That's right. Mm-hmm. She's been vice president of investments for the Pacific Southwest region for Grubb & Ellis, which is now Newmark Knight Frank Grubb. She was vice president and sales manager of CB Commercial in Los Angeles, which is now CBRE. All right, and this was in 1983 to 1985. So for those of you that think that we have it rough because we are working in a man's world, we have absolutely no idea, because she was the one who really had it rough. Because in 1983, there were no women doing what she was doing in her position in a company like that. When she accepted that management position at CB in Los Angeles, she was the #1 broker for all product types in that company. So before all of this, she started at Charles Dunn in 1975. And Charles Dunn was a big conglomerate in Los Angeles and in other areas. She was the #1 leasing broker in 1975 and 1976 company-wide. So it's incredible that she's been able to do all of this in her career. She's a great influencer and a wonderful person to look up to from all of us. She also teaches at university. She's taught at the Fuller School of Intercultural Studies. She's taught at UC Riverside. She's taught at Hope International University. She has so many awards and accolades she's been given. The list goes on and on. I'll mention just a few. She has the 2019 Most Valuable Person Award from the St. Mary Medical Center Foundation. She also sits on the board of directors there. She's the recipient of the Glazer Award from the Fuller School of Intercultural Studies, and this is an award that is given by the student body. They had to vote on the person that made the most influence, and this was Frecia Johnson. She was the co-founder of Crew Orange County. She was president there for 2.5 years. She sits on multiple boards and has done multiple things with the Chamber of Commerce and other organizations in the High Desert and throughout Orange County. So Frecia, thank you so much for joining us today. If you have a moment to call her up and talk with her, I highly encourage that. She is an incredible woman of influence. So welcome, Frecia, and thank you.
Thank you, Norette. I will clarify a couple of things. I was not the #1 broker in the whole company when I went into management in 1980. I was #1 in my office. I was in the Riverside office. So that was a real nice transition into management at that time. I was also the second female in management with CBRE, what is now CBRE. So I just wanted to clarify that so nobody has any misconceptions about it. So thank you, Norette, so much for that kind introduction. You are truly a great friend, and you've been very supportive of me as well. And I'm just proud of everything that all of you have done with Crew Inland Empire. I realize how difficult it is to have a chapter that's so geographically huge. And you've done a really good job of pulling people together. And especially being creative and creating this online opportunity for people to still meet together. So I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes and then we'll open it up for questions and answers. And primarily I'm going to address my area, which is the high desert, which is now called, or we're trying to make it called the Mojave River Valley instead of high desert. So I will be referring to it as the valley, not the San Fernando Valley, of course. We're in an area that I will describe to you in a moment. So let me first talk a little about the coronavirus and our economy in general, because that affects my area, and I will then discuss the challenges we face, but the opportunities that we face up here. It's obvious that our way of life will be changed forever in all areas, and we all know that. We've been talking about it. The question is how it will change, when it will change, and what the outcome will be. But more importantly, it's how we will react to it. I think California will be hit hard. We're already number 48 of the 50 states economically, so we are very vulnerable. I've been through, I think now, 4 downturns, starting in 1975, and all I can say is that historically, real estate values have consistently rebounded and rebounded even much higher than previous in California. You can just look at Orange County as of, I guess, last December and see all the great things that were happening there to see what the difference was between the 7 years of downturn. Everybody just went wild and crazy and kicked in and got creative and made things happen. So the question is, again, when and how will California rebound? I think the difference today between now and 2008 is that California has become so anti-small business that it's overly burdened with restrictive laws, and of course we're taxed to death. I think the rebound will happen only if our laws are changed to support small business and if they significantly lower taxes. Basically, it's going to take a change in attitude, and that attitude change has to come from the voters. So that is yet to be seen. So now let me talk about the valley, the high desert, before and after COVID-19. The valley has always been the first to decline and the last to recover. And in fact, our recovery from the 7-year downturn only became significantly improved in the last couple of years. So where the Inland Empire was growing dramatically and expanding, we were still slow up here. And we had only recently gotten to the point where we had high hopes for continued growth and progress, and then here we get hit in the face again. So it's quite a challenge for us up here to recover. One of our largest sectors here is healthcare. So obviously that's going to continue, but in a very different vein, still to be worked out. It was already challenged in how to plan for the future. As Norette told you, I'm on the board of directors of our largest hospital, which is St. Mary Medical Center. And we had proposed a new hospital to be built on Interstate 15 in Victorville. That was delayed a couple of years ago because they had to reevaluate the changes in healthcare and start redesigning the hospital with more flexibility. I personally expect, and I haven't heard anything yet, but I personally expect that it will be delayed again for the same reason. We don't know exactly where healthcare is going, but another large sector here is public service. It's huge here: education, fire, police, and so on. And they may have to cut back due to previously unexpected reduction in taxes. So the tax bases are going to change as property values go down and income taxes go down and so on. That's going to be a real challenge to us. Economically, we are a lower income area than you all probably live in. We rely very heavily on small businesses like retail, construction, and real estate that will be negatively impacted. So I believe we are very vulnerable in the short term. However, our long-term future looks better. Geographically, the core valley moving north to south. I hope you're familiar with it, but as you drive to Las Vegas, which a lot of you do, you know that it goes from, as you come over the hill, it's Hesperia, then Adelanto, Victorville, that are connected horizontally. Immediately north of that is Apple Valley. Then Barstow is 30 miles north of that. And then about 30 miles northeast of Barstow is Fort Irwin, which is going to have an impact on our area. Development-wise, we have 4 significant projects that will positively impact our growth. We also have 1 potential project and 1 area that's primed for growth. And so I'm going to discuss all of those 6 items and give you an idea of what we can look forward to here. So first, starting on the south end with Hesperia, John Ohanian, who is an amazing man and an amazing developer, is developing the Tapestry project that you may have all heard of. Originally, they were going to build about over 20,000 homes. That number has been cut, and I'll go through that. John emailed me yesterday and said that he still plans on moving ahead unless the economy takes a really big hit. Otherwise, he will move ahead with this project. He's been through a lot of downturns. He knows how to do it, and he's worked on this project for years. So if anybody can do it, I think John can do it. Tapestry is a master plan development of over 9,000 acres. It's planned for over 15,000 residential units now with affordable housing prices, which is a huge component of that project. 700,000 square feet of commercial and almost 5,000 acres of parks. So John is a seasoned developer, and I have no doubt he will continue moving right ahead through this downturn. The second area is the I-15 corridor, especially in Hesperia. That city is finding significant interest from major e-commerce countries from down the hill, from your areas. Rancho Cucamonga, Fontana, Riverside, Moreno Valley, San Bernardino, and so on. Many of them are finding it too expensive to continue operating down the hill. Of course, that may change now as your land values go down. But Hesperia has geared up to accommodate their requirements by changing zoning and increasing building heights, for example, because those buildings have different size requirements. Hesperia has always been in the forefront. They were in the forefront as we recovered in approximately 2008, started our recovery, and they got, quite frankly, most of the business, primarily retail, that was coming into our area because of their proactive approach to permitting and development. The third area is Virgin Trains Apple Valley Station. They're going to provide high-speed rail to Las Vegas. Their station will be located in Apple Valley on the east side of I-15 at Dale Evans Parkway. Ultimately, they hope to have a leg over to Palmdale, but initially it will strictly be from Apple Valley to Las Vegas. They just closed escrow in March on 284 acres for $10 million. That project will start later this year, and I think it will start no matter what, or it's planned to start later this year. They're waiting for bonding right now, and I think they will get the bond funds in order to do that, because especially since President Trump is pushing any kind of jobs and economic growth in the US, we need a speedy recovery. So that project will bring 20,000 construction jobs and 600 permanent jobs. They estimate a need for at least 1,800 apartments and almost 1,700 new homes. So as soon as that is approved, I believe the bonds come from California, and hopefully California will support that. And that project will get off the ground later this year, or at least I think early next year. The bad news is that it will eliminate thousands of cars from the freeway, and 60% of those cars stop in Barstow, which is a concern being addressed by the city of Barstow. That will really negatively impact them, but they have other things going on maybe that will offset that. So the fourth item is Barstow. Their BNSF completed their intermodal railway last year. This system makes it easier and less expensive to transfer goods between rail and truck. Before, they had to make those transitions down the hill, and it was very expensive. There were all kinds of unions and companies involved in transfer costs and fees. But now with Barstow, BNSF bought thousands of acres along the rail south of Barstow, and they will be storing trucks and providing for all of these transfers. That system was completed in June of last year, and between June and December, 3 new manufacturing companies purchased properties in Barstow, which was huge. One is a global billion-dollar food manufacturing, growing and distribution company. Those 3 companies were expected to add over 1,000 jobs between them. Unfortunately, one of them provides goods for primarily new construction like granite. So I don't know if their 300 proposed jobs will materialize or not, but nevertheless, these companies and other new companies continue to seriously consider Barstow because of the railway's benefits. So that project, I would expect, even in a downturn, will probably continue to add new businesses at a pretty steady pace. The 5th project also affects Barstow, and that is Fort Irwin, which, as I said, is 35 miles northeast of Barstow. The federal government approved funding in December of 2018 for construction of a $2.1 billion training facility with a possible increase to $4.2 billion. It is not expected to impact the local job market significantly or the housing market, because the government contractors are bringing in their own crews and they're expecting to house most of them on the base. And the training troops will rotate, once it's finished, the training troops will rotate in and out of that facility, so they won't add much to the local job market either. However, I expect a real positive impact on commercial and retail, because all of those people who will be rotating through, they want things to do at night and on the weekend. They'll be in restaurants, they will be dining out, they will be, they don't have movie theaters up there right now, but I'm sure they'll get one. So that should become very active. The hotels will also benefit because they will house the subcontractors, and Fort Irwin hires a lot of subcontractors. In fact, along that vein, I closed escrow recently for a new 178-room Marriott. It's going to be their first dual brand hotel in California, which is where they have 2 different brands from their chain that are connected with one centralized common area of check-in, amenities, and that sort of thing. So that, you've probably heard about those. They're starting nationwide. So I sold almost 4 acres for new Marriott to go in, and that's starting, they're going to start grading next month regardless. So that's a very, very good project for Barstow. And finally, the possible project I mentioned is that Barstow is still has 2 Indian tribes who are seeking approval from the federal government to build casino hotels. The tribes are the Los Coyotes tribe and the Chemehuevi tribe, and each of those would bring about 1,000 permanent jobs and hundreds of construction jobs if they were approved. I believe that those tribes are now appealing to President Trump that after 15 or more years, it's been a long journey for them, of seeking federal approval, that the Trump administration would push for either a yes or a no, because those kind of jobs in a lower income area like Barstow would be just amazing for their economy. But that remains to be seen. So in summary, I believe most of these projects are somewhat recession proof, and I think we are very blessed and unique to have 6 opportunities to maybe survive this economic downturn more than a lot of areas, but I don't think they'll have an impact for a couple of years because they have to get further along in their construction process to influence the surrounding area. So kind of in summary for the high desert, just a few of the issues that will negatively impact us or be a challenge for us. We know we'll lose a lot of small businesses. We've already seen restaurants closing, and Hesperia, that has the majority of our restaurants per capita, is seeing that they will be negatively impacted up here. The landlords will be dealing with rent abatement issues, which will be especially hard on the valley where many tenants already struggle with their rent. As I said, we're not the high-powered businesses that you see down the hill. We are more small community oriented, and our businesses support the local economy for the most part. Although we do have some businesses like a friend of mine who owns Quadrum, which is a major contractor with the Air Force, and they do all kinds of things related to rockets. We may see an increase in home resales as more families are forced out of the more expensive housing down the hill. But of course, that depends on those owners' ability to sell or rent their existing homes. The stimulus restrictions against rent collections, I think, will be extremely detrimental to our area, to the landlords, because we do have a lower income population. So there are a lot of issues at that I won't go into, but I expect that to be quite a challenge to us. I think e-commerce will continue to grow, even if property values go lower down the hill. They will certainly go lower here as well. So I think we may experience a good deal of e-commerce growth along Interstate 15. And of course, our health services will continue to grow. Kaiser's completing a new Hesperia facility in 2021. And of course, our St. Mary Hospital is on the horizon, I hope. That's what we're being told. So I could go on, but most of the things that you already know. The good news is that maybe globally, we will all become more caring societies overall. I would just love to see the whole world develop a better sense of community and provide more efficiency and higher quality in everything that we do. And whether or not you're a conspiracy theorist, and of course I get all of those emails and Facebook things all the time, life just definitely won't be the same anymore. So I'm glad that we at least have a president who's a businessman and developer who understands our business, because our business historically has been disdained by government. They don't care about the real estate industry, and they've never really understood, in my opinion, the huge impact that a downturn in the real estate industry has in filtering down to all areas of life. So I'm hoping that he will see and understand. I know he understands it. I just hope he'll have the ability to help that. Generally speaking, I do have a list of sectors primed for growth that was provided by CEL and Associates in LA. And if you'd like to have that list, I'll be happy to get it to Norette and she can email that out. But the big question for me is, what do we do personally? There's so many people who are blindly optimistic. Some are doomsdayers. We have people panicking. We know that after huge disasters like this, that people react negatively. They become depressed and anxious and fearful. So my challenge to you is filter through all the information, whether it's good or bad, evaluate it and stay informed and stay centered. And for me, being centered means Christ-centered. And I have to admit that in the past, I've been reluctant to discuss my faith in business. I found myself being more bold over the last few years. My master's and my doctorate are from Fuller Theological Seminary in prayer for emotional healing. And in fact, I'm writing on a book on how to forgive. But I just find that it's interesting. In the last 6 months, more and more of my clients are bringing up faith, and I never mention it. And they're talking about it. They're wanting to know more about it. And of course, right now they're turning to their faith, and I hope that continues. So my advice is, don't panic. Be informed, be creative, be willing to adjust. Look for the unique windows of opportunity. Think outside the box. When I worked for the Resolution Trust Corporation, I had been on commission, and that was, I think, my second or third downturn. And I said, okay, commission won't cut it. There will be no money there, no deals. What can I do where I will get income? And the Resolution Trust Corporation had been formed to do workouts for the failed savings and loans. And I was really blessed that I got a job with them, and that got me through that downturn. But that's because I was thinking outside the box. And I really pursued that job, and I felt very blessed to get it, quite frankly. So our business, bottom line, our business was already changing before the virus, and now it will change more dramatically than ever. So we have to adapt, we have to be creative, or we will not survive. So with that, I will turn it over to all of you and see what questions or things you would like to discuss.
Thank you so much, Frecia.
Thank you, Frecia.
I learned so
Sorry.
much from you. I have a quick question, if I can ask, in regards to the housing projects. Do you have any idea of any affordable housing plans that are coming up or have been affected or have already stopped because of the economy downturn here?
Well, I think it's a little bit early to see any of that taking place right now. Of course, the Tapestry project is affordable housing. There is one project in Barstow that has been in the works for a while. The challenge we have has been financing, development funds, and banks have not wanted to lend unless you are a major company. If you're an established major company, they will loan money to you all day long. This is prior to, say, the beginning of this virus. But they would not lend money to small developers. And up here, we mostly have small developers. We have a few larger ones who owned property through the downturn, and they have been building those properties out. But I haven't heard of any true affordable housing projects up here at all. So there might be a real good opportunity for that up here, if you can get the funding.
I keep hearing the same, Frecia, from a lot of different companies and developers in the high desert area. I do understand, so you had mentioned that, Hesperia is changing the zoning on a lot of what they are requiring, and they're doing a larger, higher clear height for buildings. Do you think that the other cities in that area, Victorville, Apple Valley, will start to do the same thing if more businesses, distribution-wise and things are looking, manufacturers, to come to the high desert? I rather doubt that, because I think most of them want to be as close to the Cajon Pass, going over the mountain, as they can be. Hesperia is the first city when you come over the mountain. And Victorville does not have that much property. Well, they don't have any property along the freeway with that kind of, even industrial zoning that is near on and off ramps. Hesperia has several, and Apple Valley really has none. Most of the property they have was just purchased by Virgin Rail. And there is one industrial project proposed on the west side of I-15 in Victorville, on the north end of Victorville. But again, I think it's too far, and that's really more of a business park kind of project than the big box. So I think it will be primarily limited to Hesperia. Interesting. Okay. Anyone else have more questions for Frecia?
My question is, thank you, first of all, for doing this. This has been great. This is the first I've heard of the Mojave River Valley. Is it something that's just come out in the last year? It's all part of the High Desert Opportunity Group maybe doing, or where did that come from?
Well, it came from a local broker, and I believe a couple of developers who've been there. A lot of people have talked about this over the years, because high desert refers to a very huge geographical area. It goes clear over to Lucerne Valley to our east, but our area, those 4 cities that I talked about, we are really the core of what was called the high desert, and so they're trying to call this core part Mojave River Valley in order to differentiate between the outlying areas that really don't impact our economy as much, or certainly our real estate economy as much.
I know that John Ohanian has been a big proprietor of that with the Mojave River Valley.
Right.
He's done a lot
He's
of
a big
marketing
supporter.
for it. Yes. So he really is, when he markets his project, the Tapestry project, he markets it in the Mojave River Valley. So I think it's nice that they're renaming that. There was some sort of more of a negativity toward the high desert, but people look at the the Mojave River Valley as a more positive, I guess, outlook on it. It's a beautiful area. A lot of people don't take the time to explore and go through it and drive around. There's great businesses, there's great restaurants, there's a lot to offer in that area.
There is a lot to offer, and when you get companies coming in like Chick-fil-A, you know, their first restaurant outside of the core area of Southern California is now going to be Victorville. They just purchased a property in Victorville. In fact, they paid a lot of money for it. I was pretty shocked. They chose this area, and then you've got what is that restaurant chain that I'm drawing a blank right now, that is usually along traveled areas. Their
Cracker Barrel?
You're talking Cracker Barrel, yeah.
No. It's Dinner House, and they serve home food, home cooking. Their first site in California, for their first site, they chose Victorville, our restaurant row. And then of course, we have the new steakhouse that's gone into Hesperia, that is the first in California from Texas. So people are looking at the valley as being highly productive, major area where people stop. And a lot of people don't understand that there are over probably 65,000 cars a day that take I-15. They're coming from all over Southern California, going to Las Vegas. And when 30% of those stop in Barstow for years, I don't know now because I haven't seen any they haven't developed any figures in the last 3 years, but Barstow, that Linwood Road exit, that where the outlet mall is that everybody stops at, everybody stops at In-N-Out for coffee and lunch and so forth. That intersection at Linwood Road was the highest producing retail intersection in the country for years, and people have not understood that. So we get a lot of business coming through our area. We have begun to reflect that, and I think we will see more of that. Maybe not for a while because of this downturn, but eventually I think we will see even more of that, especially with the Virgin Train project.
Well, I also think that it would be really important through there as well, and a huge help if we were able to get one of the tribe's casinos open, because that would be right there off of Linwood Road area, correct?
It would. That would have a huge impact. I think we would see tremendous development there. Historically you do. Around casinos, land values go up very, very substantially and quickly. and a lot of industry, industrial retail goes around it. So if one of those got approved, it would be a real big game changer for the entire valley. Absolutely, and Barstow especially.
Mhm. Frecia, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing what's happening in the high desert and your words of wisdom on what's happening in our economy, and for us to just stay strong and positive through what's going to be happening. If we do have some sort of downturn, hopefully it will not be drastic. It will just be brief, and we will pick up where we left off, and we can all move forward.
I certainly hope so too, and it's a pleasure talking with all of you. Thank you so much. And if you ever have any questions about our area, just please give me a call. I'm happy to help out and share whatever I know. So good luck and God bless all of you.
A quick
Thank you.
question for you, Frecia. Sorry, we have a chat question. Is it possible to share the list with Norette, and maybe we can pass it out to all the members after this meeting?
Absolutely. In fact, if you want, I can just quickly run through the areas if you'd like.
What do you ladies want to do? Yeah?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's a really interesting list. This came out of a report that was shared with me about the future of our economy because of this virus. And within that report was this business consulting firm's list of businesses that they think will be very beneficial for us. So information technology, communications, critical manufacturing, and that of course means anything critical to healthcare, these urgencies. You know, there are a lot of supplies that have to be replaced and so on. So that seems to be, will go on for a while. Energy, emergency services, security, government facilities, chemicals, logistics, waste management, and of course, healthcare and biotech will be huge. Pharmaceuticals, although I personally foresee some big changes in that area. Transportation, we can look at what's happened in this downturn and how our transportation's been affected and how that probably needs to change considerably. Water systems, food and agriculture, financial services, defense related, and of course, military. So, it's quite a list. That gives quite a lot of opportunity. And if you look at that list from a real estate perspective, there's going to be a lot of opportunity there, maybe to sell properties, vacant land or buildings, or maybe even get some government contracts to represent them in certain areas. Those are, of course, always difficult to get, but they will certainly be available. So if you take a look at those areas and start gaining some information about them, I think you'll find some opportunities there.
We'd be happy to share the list amongst everyone as well, in case anyone didn't get all of those.
That would be great. And Frecia, just another quick question on this. Are those in any specific order?
No,
okay.
Not that I'm aware of.
Wonderful. So any further questions there on the chat line?
Well, Norette,
All
thank
right.
you. I enjoyed it. And I look
course.
forward to meeting all of you at some point. And again, God bless you all, and just be creative and hang in there, especially if you have little children at home.
Thank you, Frecia.
Thank you, Frecia.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Thank you. Everybody have a great day.